Well, hello and welcome. And our guest, Angela Duns, is here with us. I am so excited to have her. Hi, Angela. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Great, great, great. Welcome everyone to Bold Women Lawyers Spotlight Interview. And as you know, every week I'm here, actually, usually twice a week, talking about all things related to running your solo or small law firm. And one of the most important things we all know is marketing and all forms of marketing. We have a terrific guest with us today to tell us all about LinkedIn and how you can use it to your advantage for your solo or small law firm. But first, let me tell you about Angela because she has a very interesting background. She calls herself the accidental entrepreneur, which I love as a title. But why does she call herself that? Well, she went to San Francisco area with a brand new MBA thinking she would become a chief marketing officer, and that's not what happened. Instead, she started her own business guiding lawyers and accountants through business development on LinkedIn, which is an interesting journey. Without a website now, she built her whole business using free LinkedIn, which I'm going to ask her to tell us a little bit about that. And interestingly enough, in her background, she's a former high school rodeo champion. She's the only rodeo champion I've ever met. And I'm not going to hold this against her. She's a diehard Packers fan. And I'm from Baltimore, and of course, I'm a diehard Ravens fan. But
I'm a shareholder.
and you're a shareholder and I'm not. So I'm very envious of you. So Angela, welcome. We're really happy to have you here today.
I'm super excited to be here, Sharon.
Terrific. Terrific. So I want to jump right in and ask you, we've heard a little bit about your background. How is it that you decided, you know what, I'm not going to do that CMO job. I want to help lawyers figure out this whole LinkedIn thing?
It's been quite a journey. None of it was intentional. And it just kind of happened that way. When I began my business 10 years ago, LinkedIn was still a job seekers platform. I would talk to people and I would say, I'm a business development coach for LinkedIn. And they would say, I have a nephew that needs a job. I would hear that all the time. People really didn't
Exactly.
understand what business development was on LinkedIn. So it's been a really long journey, but I really focused on small businesses. And
Mhm.
as I worked with different businesses, different industries, I really determined that where was the biggest problem? Where was the biggest challenge? And it seems to be people who are in the financial services profession and
Mhm.
attorneys. They I would get just the strangest looks from them when I would be networking back in the day, because they were so afraid of using LinkedIn because of compliance and legal issues. They're like, well, I can't use LinkedIn. They would just say that to me. And
Okay. All
and
right.
so I really focused on helping in the area where I could make the biggest impact.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. So, tell us now for us lawyers about LinkedIn. Where can it have the biggest impact for us, and how do we make it work for our, especially smaller law firms?
Great question. I just found some statistics from the American Bar Association. One of them says that 94% of attorney referrals go to LinkedIn first before they act on that referral.
Ah. And so I love that stat, and I know you and I have talked about it before. When they go to LinkedIn, what are they looking for? Is it just to confirm, like, okay, it looks like you really are a real lawyer, or are they looking for more than that?
They're looking for what kind of a lawyer you are. I mean, there's tons of lawyers out there, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Are you an attorney that is a human being and is going to listen to me and really care about what it is that my problem is that I'm asking you to solve?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's one of the things. So they look, do you have volunteer experience on your profile? That definitely makes you a different kind of person. But they also look to see, how many different practice areas do you work in? If it's too many, if you don't even list the practice area that I'm looking at your profile
Mhm.
for, that really doesn't do much for your credibility. So they're looking for your humanity, they're looking
Mhm.
for your credibility. Um, they're they're looking for thought leadership, and it's mostly, can I trust you and work with you?
Yeah.
Do you solve the problem that I have?
Let me ask you about the humanity part, because I think that's the part that lawyers really tend to skip over. So, and if you are, for many of us, after you've done this for a while, you do forget that part of it. So, when you say the humanity part, you mentioned volunteer experience. What else might, just a consumer, if somebody has a business to consumer practice, what else might the consumer be looking for?
Well, they're going to be looking for things like, are you speaking in the first person or are you speaking in the third person, which has been
Ah,
determined to be too stuffy for a social media platform. So, are you talking directly to me? The first paragraph of your about section isn't about you. It is about the problem you solve for your ideal client. Now, sometimes it's going to be referral partners that look at your LinkedIn profile.
mhm.
And I'm going to tell you, they're more judgy than anyone else.
Well, sure, because when I refer, my reputation is on the line too, and I don't want to make a bad referral.
And yes, and you don't want that person that you referred to that person to come back and say, why did you refer them? They haven't even showed up on LinkedIn.
Yes, yes, okay. And then how about, for people, lawyers who are business to business, how important is that humanity part, do you think?
I I don't think it matters if it's B2C or
Mhm,
B2B. The humanity, the know, like, and trust is what is super important. And
mhm,
especially if I am going to air my dirty laundry in front of you so that you can help me get out of whatever this thing is.
yeah,
Maybe it's a partnership that needs to be dissolved. Those are really highly charged emotional things. So that trust factor, that credibility, it absolutely has to be there.
yeah, yeah. No, and I think you're 100% uh, accurate with that, because even if your practice is B2B, business to business, there is a person behind that business that you're dealing with, no matter what kind of services you're providing. And
That
you're right.
has emotions and hangups, and
Exactly. Exactly. And so I want to know that even though you're working for my business, as you said, I need to know who you are. I need to like you. You don't have to be my bestie, but I have to like you enough that I can trust you and trust that what you're telling me is accurate and is good for me, either me personally or my business. Right?
right. I have a friend that
Yeah,
I used to do enterprise LinkedIn sales training with, and Kurt always said, "We don't do business with glass buildings." And
exactly.
that has really
Exactly.
stuck with me. So great, you work for a high powered attorney firm. It's still an individual that I'm going to work with.
Exactly. So you've mentioned the about section, um, and that needs to address the problems that you're going to solve for your clients, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The
What?
problem you solve and the exact um, audience that you serve.
Mm,
Sometimes if people are doing contracts, it's real estate contracts, commercial real, or it's a business contracts. And there's different types of, even within one practice area, you might serve the tech industry, or
right.
something very specific.
hmm Exactly. And even within, excuse me, this is something I preach all the time, is not just have specialty area or niche within the law, you need that, but you need to be much more narrow than that. So if you're a divorce lawyer, are you looking for people who are married with young children who need to get a divorce? Are you looking for empty nesters who are looking at divorce? Who's,
High net worth.
excuse me, specifically, who are you focused on? Exactly. So there's the about section, but there's so much more on LinkedIn. So what else do we need to be aware of?
Well, most attorneys don't use the banner space, and I don't think they understand how much that hurts them. So, how do we develop know, like, and trust? There has to be an emotional connection somewhere. So, using that banner space and putting photos in there.
And let me stop you for a second, just so everybody's clear. When you say banner space, what are you referring to specifically?
Some people call it the background photo. It's right behind your profile photo, your
Mhm.
personal photo. So it's the largest piece of real estate you have on LinkedIn. You should probably use it well. And so, best practices for that is a picture of people. And it could be even something that's personal, a hobby. Wouldn't you like to know that your attorney is a real person and has a life outside of the law? And maybe he loves to walk dogs. Maybe he's a hiker or a camper. There's lots of different things that you can involve. If you see them planting trees with everybody else in the firm or something like that, it just makes a different connection with that
Yeah.
attorney. And then you put a saying on there. Maybe it's an inspirational quote. Maybe it's a tagline from your business with the company's logo in the corner, so that
Mhm.
you're not only creating an emotional connection, but you're establishing your authority within that firm.
That's great advice because I hadn't thought about it until you said it. It's the biggest piece of real estate you have on your LinkedIn profile.
And you get 5 seconds in that above the fold view. Five
Yeah,
seconds
yeah.
before someone decides if they're going to look further in your profile or not.
Wow, 5 seconds. And so really they're going to see, what are they going to see above the fold? They see your banner.
Well, they
Um,
spend the first 2 seconds looking at your profile photo.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Two
Y- you
seconds.
know,
So you need a good photo, right?
you do. It needs to be, and for attorneys, it still is just a teeny bit on the stuffy side.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to show up like an attorney. So it can't be a photo from your cousin's wedding with somebody's arm cropped out of it. You want to be friendly and approachable. So a lot of people will
Right.
say a half smile for
Okay.
attorneys, but at least friendly and approachable. You want to
Okay.
look professional according to your industry. And do you have to have a tie? You don't, but people still like to see their attorneys in a tie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
women, a jacket is almost a must, because they want to know if you show up in court for them that you look like a tiger and you look professional.
So spend the money, get it professionally done, right?
Yes,
Yes.
you
Yes.
can get a non-professional photo that's really good, but it's not as likely.
Right. Right. And you may have looked, you mentioned it. You may have looked fabulous at your cousin's wedding, but it's not what you want
Without
on
a
your
professional
LinkedIn.
background, without a
Yes.
professional camera, without really good lighting from the front, it's not the same.
No, no, it's not. It's definitely not. So great professional photo, uh, good info and pictures and friendliness on your banner,
And
right?
a headline that really talks about the audience you serve and the problem that you solve.
Interesting. Now, when you say headline, tell me specifically where is it? Is that in your banner or is it lower
Directly
down?
below your name,
Okay.
you get 240 characters, including spaces, to really tell that narrative quickly of who
Hmm.
you serve, what problem you solve, or what results someone might enjoy if they work with you. For
Okay.
attorneys, it's really about the problem that you solve and the specific audience that you serve.
Okay. So, can you give me an example of something that would be a good headline?
I am currently working with an immigration attorney, and
Mhm.
he's really busy right now because he works in the tech industry. And
Oh,
so there's
wow.
a lot of people's visas and,
Mhm.
H-1B and all of that. But so what he's saying in his headline is, I help you retain your excellent foreign talent.
So okay, so he works for companies who are
Trying to hang on
needing
to
to keep
their
their
brightest
yes.
minds.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Oh, great. That's a great line. Yeah. I
And
mean,
then he
that's
he expands from there.
sure,
But
sure.
that's
But it hits it right in the first few words,
I mean,
right?
immigration attorneys can work on asylum, naturalization, family
Right.
law. There are so many different areas that that hits in. His firm really focuses on foreign talent.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. And to take a step back from that, you need to know first who you are focused on. I mean, and I say that because I talk to so many lawyers who, when I ask them the question about who do you serve, who are you focused on, I get answers that are all over the board. I do a little of this and a little of that, and you know, and our first step working together is let's get completely narrowed and focused on who it is you really do serve, who you want to serve, and who you do your best work with, because you can serve a lot of people, but if you're not doing your best work, you won't want to continue it. So
Right, right.
yeah.
And I really stress that as well. And here's what I say when I'm working with attorneys or CPAs, you know, what is the situation that someone has when they come to you for the first time? They could be a repeat person, but what is your ideal entry level situation?
Yeah.
Who's that? You're speaking to that person. Or if it's a referral partner, where are your best referrals coming from?
Hmm. Hmm.
What practice
Hmm.
area is it? What types of lawyers are giving you those referrals? And then you really focus on making it clear to your end user and your referral partners who it is that you want. Because once somebody's worked with you and they trust you, they're going to come back to you again and they're going to refer people. But it's that first situation, that
Mm.
entry
Hmm.
level thing that people
Hmm.
come to you for that you want to be known for. Make that clear.
Okay. Okay, great. That's great
Like when I
advice.
work with insurance agents, a lot of times it's life insurance. Somebody's had
Hmm.
a life changing event and their circumstances have changed and they need to review their life insurance. Those are the people you're talking to. So you start your about section by asking qualifying questions. Have you just had a life changing event and you really need to do a review of your risk management?
Exactly. And so I love that. Those are the qualifying questions, because then you eliminate a lot of inquiries from people who you can't serve, who are not your ideal client. And you get right to the heart of the matter for those people who need your help and need it now. Right.
People can self identify like this.
Hmm. 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 That's great.
Even
Now,
referral partners, they can say, yes, that's
yeah,
exactly the problem that my client, my friend, my colleague has.
exactly. Exactly. I love that. Okay. Um, so one of the things that I think is difficult for a lot of people with LinkedIn is, you're doing this work and you've got the banner in the about section, and I guess you're posting, right? Articles or comments or
It's not
can you talk a
required,
little bit
but it
about
does
posting?
help.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Visibility is a whole nother strategy.
Okay.
And there are several different ways to keep yourself visible on LinkedIn. and I'm working with a couple of people in the marketing industry, and we're really talking about, things are changing and shifting very rapidly right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of the old ways of doing marketing online have changed. But the tried and true method is still content, and it's still the least expensive, most effective way to stay visible.
Yeah.
Email
Yeah.
marketing is getting very interesting because a lot of people have filters that they don't even receive a lot of, if it
Hmm.
has links or videos or things like that. A lot of
Hmm.
attorneys and financial professionals, it's never going to reach them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Exactly.
they get annoyed by having too many things in their inbox.
Hmm.
But content in the news feed is still a viable way to reach people. And content is the long game. It's a long-term commitment. It's not you do it for 3 months, you get a couple clients and you're good.
Let's define long term, because that when you say that phrase, people receive it differently. So, and I agree, it's totally a long term commitment. What kind of time frame are we talking about when you say long term?
Forever.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Exactly.
For
Yeah.
as long as you're in business. If you post once a week and you do it consistently,
Hmm.
and it's just an inspirational quote, that is still increasing your visibility by a factor of 50 to 60%.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Now, if you're posting every day and you're sharing valuable content from your industry, it doesn't have to be your content. It could be from
Hmm.
Harvard Business Review. And to tell you the truth, people are really more interested in the peripheral things, the things that sort of dance around the edges of what it is that you do. So, you know, and things that are
Interesting.
great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm working with a franchise consultant right now, and one of her most popular articles that we posted for her last week was about making bold decisions. How do you make
Oh,
bold decisions? And, buying a franchise is a big, bold decision.
yes, it is. Yes.
So,
Yes.
dancing around the periphery of things, if you're
Ah.
thinking about
Mhm.
going into business, you probably haven't thought of at least 100 things about putting together contracts as you go into business,
Right.
partnership
Right.
contracts, agreements for when you start to work with someone. There are so many different, 1099 arrangements. There's just so
Mhm.
many different things that you need to think about that you haven't thought about. So, dancing around the periphery of whatever it is that you do is really where the most value is. That's where people really pay attention to the things that you're posting. And of course, if you just won a settlement or you got an award or were recognized or you published something, people want to see that, but not so often.
Right.
once
Right.
once
Exactly.
once or twice enough is plenty.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that sort of thing really does establish your credibility. Now,
Mhm.
if you
Mhm.
volunteered someplace or if you did a guest lecture for free at some certain place, those kinds of things really attract attention. The personal things, and what really shocks me about, a lot of people will ask me the question, Angela, is LinkedIn turning into Facebook? And unfortunately, there are some people that are not adhering to the etiquette on LinkedIn. But
Yeah.
the other side of that coin is, I post a video once a week that I think is a gem of a LinkedIn tip, and it'll get very few views. It just
Mhm.
doesn't go very far.
Mhm.
But then
Mhm.
I posted something about, it was a horrible pixelated picture of my sister and I snowboarding. And I talked about passion and commitment. The guy instructors on the hill they would not coach us. They would not take us as in their classes.
Ah.
So we learned how to snowboard by taking out a book from the library
Oh my god.
and teaching ourselves the falling leaf and all the different
Wow.
techniques. your downhill edge and your uphill edge. And
Mhm,
I
mhm.
just spoke about passion and commitment, and I got over 4,000 views on that
Yeah,
post.
isn't that interesting? Yeah,
So
yeah.
peeling back the layers of who you are as a person, and I think it's sharing our values and things about us personally, and especially with attorneys.
Mhm.
What are your values? Are they in alignment with mine?
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Now, one last thing I want to ask you about, because everybody's always interested in what's my return on investment, as they should be. How do you measure the impact of LinkedIn?
Well, there's really only one measurement. I have several different KPIs, and so that sort of informs as I'm working with the client if we're moving in the right direction.
Mhm, mhm,
And my KPIs are a little bit more qualitative than quantitative. Of course, the
mhm,
quantitative is great.
mhm.
But the only metric that matters is, are you getting business?
Yeah,
And is
yeah.
it the right business? I recently worked with a CPA, and the quality of his client, the amount of money he makes from each client, and the amount of work that he has to do because he's not doing all these little jobs that aren't
Yes.
in his wheelhouse, it's changed his business dramatically. I mean, his deal size has doubled and tripled
Wow. Wow.
because he's
Um,
in the right place. And so,
mhm, mhm,
they increase their engagement, not decrease it or end their
mhm,
engagement.
mhm, mhm.
So it's it's, are you getting business? Are you getting the right kind of business?
Yeah.
And tracking this, it takes 12 to 25 touches
Yeah.
before someone does business with you. So is it business from LinkedIn? That might have been part of the mix. And I had a gentleman walk up to me from across a crowded networking room 3 months ago, and he said, "Angela, I love your stuff." I had no idea who this man was. We aren't connected on LinkedIn. And I'm like, "How do you see my stuff?" Well, I'm connected to so and so who's in my office. And so she likes your stuff and it shows up in my feed. So I see your stuff all the time.
Oh, there you go. There and
I
and there's no way you can measure that, right?
absolutely not. We're
You
not
cannot
connected.
do it. Mhm,
People,
mhm.
attorneys are voyeurs on LinkedIn.
Yes, that is very, very true. As an attorney, I can attest to that. Yes.
And so
Yes.
you can't measure how somebody came to you.
No, no.
But
Unless you ask.
yeah,
I mean,
unless
you
you
you know,
ask and they
certainly.
actually remember all the
Yeah,
different ways.
yeah.
But LinkedIn is a piece of the puzzle. It
Yes.
is the only B2B platform on the planet. It was
Mhm.
designed specifically to connect the right professionals for the right opportunities.
Mhm.
That's its
Mhm.
whole reason for being in existence.
Mhm. 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 No, that's great, and that's great to remember too, that, it is that important to um, to someone who's thinking about doing business with you because they can go and look and find out so much about you. But you might be looking for that direct link, and you're just not going to find it because it's a very crooked path that people can often take to get to you. I mean, I had the same thing when I owned my law firm, and well, how did you hear about us? And sometimes people would remember how it started. A lot of times they wouldn't. Somebody I
Yeah.
know gave me your name and I went to your website and then I looked at YouTube and then I went to LinkedIn and then I went here and then I'm like, geez, you
Yes.
went a lot of places. Yeah. But
And it takes a lot of time. I
yes.
mean, timing, budget, need have to come together. Now, for attorneys, we hope people don't need them.
Right.
but the
Right.
reality
But
is, a specific situation comes up and you want to find the right attorney quickly. So
yes.
if you're already on somebody's radar, if they already prefer you over other people in your practice area, it's a slam dunk.
Exactly. Exactly. It is a slam dunk. Yes. Wow. Well, this has been great. Let me ask you one final question. Um, so, if somebody is just starting or restarting themselves on LinkedIn, because I know I've talked to a lot of people that just threw up their hands and walked away, and sort of gave it up, but now they want to come back. So you're starting or you're restarting. Um, what's the very first thing that you would say they should make sure you get straight on your LinkedIn page?
Your LinkedIn profile is the place that I would start. There's the above the fold view is the most important, because if they don't see what they need to see there, the rest, anything else that you have written on your profile it's moot. They aren't going to see it.
Right.
So have a fabulous photo, at least an acceptable photo. And seriously, it's not that hard. Only 5% of the photos on LinkedIn, I think, are good.
Wow.
So it's not that hard to have a great photo. Use the banner or the background photo space and use it really well. Pay somebody on Fiverr, get Canva, make it yourself. Hire someone like me to do it for you.
Exactly.
And do a
Exactly.
very tasteful job for whatever it is that you want. Ask the CMO at your firm if they have banners that can be used, because they may have them. Get your headline straightened out. Make sure your contact information. 80% of my clients don't have the correct contact information in their contact area when I begin working with them. They're so embarrassed, and I'm like, don't be. Nobody has it right. And then the skills section. The skills section is the biggest bang for your buck for optimization and being found for the right thing. I guarantee everyone listening to this looks at their skills section. There's at least one, maybe 10 or 15 things in your skills section that you don't do and don't want to be found for. Get those out of there and replace them with current terminology for what you do.
Okay. I'm going to look at mine as soon as we're done, because I think you're absolutely right. You get busy, you get so busy with other things that you forget. So to shortcut all of it, if somebody is like a lawyer saying, I don't have time for this, you can do this with them and for them. Is that right?
Yes, with and for.
And for. And Angela, how will they get in touch with you?
LinkedIn would be the number one place.
Okay.
And
let me show you. I put up your LinkedIn
URL.
I don't even know what you call it. Thank you. Your URL. So it's pretty easy. You just go to LinkedIn and search for Angela Duns, right? And you'll pop up there.
And there is a calendar link that's live at the top of my profile in the above the fold view.
Okay. And so somebody can just schedule some time right there to talk to you about what they need and see if you all might be a good fit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Well, listen, this has been great. Like I said, I'm going to, as soon as we're done, I will get on my skills section, take a look at it and see how much I need to revise it. So I've learned a lot. I really have appreciated you taking the time, Angela, to talk to us, because LinkedIn is so important in terms of lawyers, marketing themselves, getting themselves out there, but also the information being there when they have a referral. And people need to know who you are and what you do and how you can help them. So
and it's a great networking tool these days.
Yes.
Since we've converted to the digital platform in a much more committed way, it's a great place to network. Who is in your network that could be giving you referrals that isn't? Take them out to lunch. Do an advanced search. Say happy birthday or congratulations or whatever. Get in touch with them.
That's a great point. That's a great point, because that's an area of LinkedIn that people don't even think about.
Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. Exactly. Exactly. Well, listen, Angela, this has been great. I thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.